I should never sit in the front.
We can stand too.
It's much nicer weather down here, though, I will say.
Oh, yeah.
Just cold up there. Their high was our low down here. I was just sitting outside enjoying the weather because it's. And I'm glad I'm back for the weekend. All right, we will call to order the meeting on today, January 28th, the San Diego Water District. Hand it over to the clerk to take attendance.
Absolutely. Board Member Lyons?
Here.
Board Member San Antonio?
Present.
Board Member Schaefer?
Here.
Vice President Ehlers?
Here.
President O'Hara?
Here.
Record will show that all members of San Diego Water District are present, and San Diego Water District board members receive an independent stipend of $100 for convening the Water District meetings pursuant to San Diego Water District Resolution Number 89-07.
All right, and all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and special presentations and proclamations. There are none at this time. Do we have any oral communications?
We do not.
Okay, that takes us on to reports from closed session. At this time, we don't have any reports from closed session. I'll ask if there are any changes to today's agenda.
There are no changes to the posted agenda, and moving to the consent calendar, no items have been removed from the consent calendar from the public.
Okay, we'll see if we have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve all consent items.
Second. Oh. Let Marco have it.
All right, motion to approve by Councilmember Schaefer, or by Board Member Schaefer, and seconded by Board Member Ehlers.
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
That motion carries unanimously and takes us to item 10A.
All right, that takes us to 10A. Oh, I'll go back. There we go. All right, item 10A, San Diego Water District Annual Financial Report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. And with that, we will hand that off to San Diego Water District.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. My name is Shoshana Aguilar. I'm the Finance and Administrative Services Manager for the district. Starting out with our revenues for last fiscal year, FY 2024-2025. Happily, our revenues came in 15% over budget, or a total revenue of $26.3 million. On the screen, you see the four highest categories for revenue, and the highest category is potable water sales. So the main reason that our revenue was notably higher than budget is that it was a drier fiscal year than the prior 2 years, so less rain, and we ended up selling more water. We also had higher than budgeted revenue for our potable meter service charges, property taxes, and recycled water sales, among other categories. Our operating expenditures stayed within our operating budget. We spent 87% of budget. On the screen, you see our 4 highest categories for expenditures. And we did stay under budget in these categories. Potable water purchases is our highest expenditure category, followed by personnel, water treatment, and internal cost allocation. Internal cost allocation is how the district pays for internal city services, such as human resources and information technology. For our non-operating expenditures, we expended $3.1 million on capital replacement projects, and we made our final debt service payment. So as of right now, with the start of FY 2026, the district holds no debt. We did spend $500,000 out of our fleet replacement fund, replacing 2 pieces of equipment, a backhoe loader from the year 2000 and a 2014 Ford F-150. As far as our pension and other post-employment benefit liabilities, our funded ratio increased, which is a good thing. We went from 71.57% funded to 73.86% funded. Our beginning net position is $24.7 million. And after deducting reserve funding and appropriations, our projected unrestricted net position is $1.0 million. The district has 3 different board-approved reserve categories: our operating, capital improvement, and rate stabilization reserve. And those categories are funded in that order. We were able to meet the target level for our operating reserves, and that target is based on 90 days of operating expenditures. We have some funding in the capital improvement reserve, but it is funded right now below the target, and there is no money in the rate stabilization reserve. The last time that the board voted on rate increases in April of 2024, there was a decision to keep the rate increases as low as possible, with the understanding that we would not be able to fully fund our reserves. This is definitely something that staff is looking at when we do our next cost of service update. So we are implementing rate increases to gradually work towards meeting reserve targets, and we are going to be working with an expert rate consultant to review our reserve policy and see if there are any changes that need to be made as we start thinking about future rate increases and what we need to be prepared for emergencies. So the recommended action here is to receive and file the fiscal year 2024-2025 year-end report. I'm available for any questions, and after questions, if there are any, I will turn it over to our outside auditor from the PUN Group, Mr. Coley Delaney.
Do you want to go after public, or if there are?
Well, go ahead. Do we have any public speakers on this item? Okay. Go ahead. Do we have anybody who? Oh, let's see, I'm not. Oh, there we go. Okay. Board Member Lyons.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you gave us kind of a high-level explanation of our reserves. And I look forward to when the cost of service update will come back, and you'll be giving us a recommendation on how we can get back to some funding in our reserves. And if I understood your presentation correctly, I feel like that is what you will be looking at. Can you tell me when you anticipate the cost of service update coming back?
Yes, thank you for the question. We anticipate going out with a request for proposals with the start of next fiscal year, so around this June or July 2026. And then we would do our cost of service update and bring that back to the board around February, early spring of 2027. Our last scheduled rate increase that the board has already approved will go into effect this coming July. So after that, we have no more rate increases, and we would have to update our cost of service study.
All right, thank you.
Board Member Ehlers.
Yeah. On the, can you go back to, I think it's slide 7 with, the net positions, the below target and the no funding presumably below target. How many million below the target are we right now on those two?
Yes, thank you for the question. For capital improvement, we are $4.2 million below target. And rate stabilization, we would need $3.25 million.
Okay. And then Board Member Lyons asked essentially the question of when we're going to get that. And it sounds like we're also going to review whether those numbers for total need adjustment at all to okay. So it sounds like this is we're set through July of 2026, and the next potential rate change would occur in nominally July of 27, based on the work, or do you think it'd get delayed beyond that?
Right now, we're not anticipating any delays to that schedule. One thing I would add, given the state of the reserves, as our staff is developing our FY27 budget proposal, both for operating and for capital, we're definitely taking this into consideration. So when you see budget in the next couple of months, we will again be talking about reserves.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of, so following along on those lines, I just had a question about the rate stabilization fund, and now it's at zero. What is the nexus? What causes us to put money into that ahead of time, or does it have to hit a certain amount of money that we have to warrant putting it in there, or where are we at with that?
Thank you for the question. The current target per the board-approved policy is that the rate stabilization reserve would be 15% of the proposed following year's annual potable water rate and service charge. So it's just a percentage of what our revenue will be for water sales.
And so, being at zero, are we looking to raise that then in July when we get that report? Or how would that reflect there, I guess is what I'm asking.
I guess there are two different steps. So at the end of each fiscal year, we look at what available funds we have and put money into these three buckets in the priority order. So at the end of the current fiscal year, so starting in July, August, as we do year-end close, we'll be updating these the balances. So hopefully we'll see the balances increase. And then at the same time, we are revisiting our reserve policy. So is 15% of potable sales an appropriate way of calculating what our rate stabilization reserve should be? With capital improvement, the capital improvement target is based on a 5-year outgoing outlook, an average of what we will be recommending for appropriations each year for 5 years. There are a lot of unknowns there. There are unknowns with our shared costs with Santa Fe Irrigation District. There are unknowns around capital that we're putting away for Lake Hodges. And so we just, staff thinks it's worthwhile to look at the reserve policy to see if the target calculations, the target formula continues to make sense.
Super. Thank you. I appreciate the explanation. Are there any further questions from the board? Do we need a motion to file? Okay, this time we'll go ahead and we'll file this report. Thank you for a great report. And I think this is a don't go anywhere. I think you're up next again. Let's see. Item 10B is authorizing incorporation of pass-through charges for potable and recycled water into the next cost of service study.
President O'Hara, there's still the audit report
Oh,
that
I'm
follows.
sorry, I thought
And
we-
under 10A, I'm sorry.
Oh, we'd gone past that. All right. Great. Go ahead.
Yeah. We could skip it if you want to. It's going to be, it's going to be very, very similar to the one that we did last week for the city, as some of the stuff is required, by auditing standards. But once again, my name's Coley Delaney. I'm the engagement partner for the city's audit, and with the city's audit, as the water district, San Diego Water District, is a major enterprise fund within the city's financial statement. So this is an extra deliverable. And so I have essentially, like I said, this pretty much same presentation as last time. So required communications, again, generally accepted auditing standards require those. I'm going to delineate the audit responsibilities between management and the auditors. Real quick, Shoshana already went over some numbers and stuff, so I only have 2 slides on numbers and then audit results. So starting with required communications. So first of all, we are the independent auditors. So regarding independence, both the firm and all the individuals on the engagement team complied with all relevant requirements regarding independence. The significant accounting policies for the district are disclosed in Note 2 to the financial statements. Similar to the city, the district implemented 2 GASB new statements this year. 101 was compensated absences, and that one actually did have a slight effect on the district's financial reporting with about I think it was a $30,000 prior period adjustment to retrospectively record the effect of that. GASB 102, certain risk disclosures did not apply to the district this year, so that one did not have an effect. There are some estimates included in the district's financial statements, similar to the city again, starting with fair market value on investments, depreciation, and we have amortization on capital assets because the district does have some right to use assets, which would be leased items. A new thing, a new estimate this year included in these financial statements is related to that GASB 101 for compensated absences, and that is the estimate of the liability for unused sick leave. Again, and so we have the district and the city, they have estimated a more likely than not amount of that to be used for time off or to be paid upon separation. And then we have the standard pension and OPEB actuarial inputs that are also based on estimates. Continuing on, there are some disclosures that we want to point out to you this year. Again, note 2, summary significant accounting policies delineates the policies related to kind of all the big stuff in the report. I put note 5 capital assets on, similar to the city again, because there was a change in there was another change in accounting principle that affected the water district this year, and that was related to formerly the investment in joint venture in the RE Badger water treatment facilities. We have changed the accounting principle on that to what we call the undivided interest method. So essentially this year, rather than reporting that investment in joint venture, the district is reporting actual treatment plant capital assets. So we'll see some further changes in that as we go on too. But otherwise, pension and the OPEB notes, we always like to take a look at those. And again, there were 2 prior period adjustments this year. One was for the GASB 101 compensated absences implementation, and then the other was the change in method for the investment in joint venture. Ultimately, there were no uncorrected misstatements that we reported. Regarding corrected or uncorrected misstatements, it really does come down to a materiality threshold, but we didn't even have any that would fall under a level that we would consider trivial. So there was actually none that were actually skipped. So, and then there were no consultations with other accountants regarding audit-related matters. We encountered no significant difficulties in dealing with management, and we didn't have any disagreements with management in terms of accounting treatments or audit procedures performed. And there were no transactions in these financial statements that we came across that did not have authoritative guidance where we would have to go back to GASB or kind of could go one way or the other, and we just have to use professional judgment. We did not have any of those this year. So into audit responsibility, starting with management. Ultimately, these are the district's financial statements. So management is responsible for these financial statements and for presenting them in accordance with US GAAP. They're responsible for adopting sound accounting policies, establishing and maintaining internal controls over financial reporting and compliance, and providing the auditors with evidence supporting the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements. And ultimately, they're responsible for the fair presentation of these financial statements free from material misstatements, and that's whether those are due to fraud or error. And ultimately, management is responsible for preventing and detecting fraud. Now, as the auditors, we have to perform the audit in conformity with not only generally accepted auditing standards, but also generally accepted government auditing standards. We're required to communicate with those charged with which is the board. We have to assess the audit risk of internal control over financial reporting, determine the fairness of the presentation on the financial statements, and render our opinion on those financial statements. And then we are responsible for communicating any recommendations to management should we note any control deficiencies or things like that. And ultimately, we are responsible for reporting any instances of fraud, waste, or abuse that we do note, which we did not note any of those this year. So I know Shoshana kind of went over some of this stuff real quick. So again, I only have 2 slides, just a brief snapshot comparing last year to this year. This is the statement of net position, essentially kind of the balance sheet, but the format's a little different. So as the district saw cash and investments increase by $1.5 million. Accounts receivable increased by $400,000, and inventory and prepaid items increased by $1.3 million. The change in accounting principle prior period adjustment took away $24.8 million in investment in joint venture and translated most of that into capital assets, as I previously mentioned. Overall, the assets increased by $6.5 million from 2024. The deferred outflows are related to pension and OPEB items. And in this year, not much change in OPEB, but the pension deferred items, deferred inflow items, or outflow items, did decrease about $600,000. For the liabilities, those decreased slightly to $11.2 million, and that was mainly caused by a decrease in the net pension liability. The deferred inflows decreased by $300,000, mainly due to lease revenue amortization. And for net position, the net investment in capital assets increased by about $28 million, and unrestricted net position decreased by $21 million. Again, that's part of that switch was the investment in joint venture into water treatment capital assets. And overall net position increased by $6.7 million. Comparing the condensed income statement year over year, so charges for services, again, mostly sales of water, those increased by about a little over $4 million. Operating expenses saw source of supply costs increased by $1.7 million. General operations and maintenance increased by $800,000, and depreciation and amortization increased by $1.1 million, and that was largely due to the fact that there are now more capital assets, the treatment plant, that are being depreciated rather than the investment in joint venture. Again, total change in net position 2025 positive $4.3 million, which is up $2.4 million from 2024's change in net position of $1.9 million. To the audit results. So we issued an unmodified opinion, and that means that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. The accounting policies have been consistently applied year over year. And that's also why we retroactively implement the GASB 101. But the estimates used are reasonable, and the disclosures are properly reflected in the financial statements. And I know we already sort of said this one, but we like to point, no disagreements with management. We like to point that one out. Cities and the district is very, very great to work with. No material weaknesses or significant deficiencies were identified in internal control over financial reporting or compliance. We did not note any inappropriate activities or fraud, waste, or abuse, and there were no accounting issues noted where there's lack of authoritative guidance. So with that concludes my presentation, and I will open it up for any questions that you may have.
Thank you for the report, and thank you for the correction there. I was sitting here thinking, my gosh, I guess we're not going to hear the whole thing. I'm just listening to Finance Manager Aguilar, and I did not mean to skip you, so I'm really glad, because I think, as always, you brought us a great report, so thank you. I'm going to hand the floor to Council Board Member Lyons.
I just wanted to thank Isam and your team. Thank you for the great work that you've done and for being good financial stewards for the people who are your customers. And I'm always pleased. And in the last 5 years I've been serving on City Council, I've continually been pleased with the good reports we have and the confidence that I have then in how you're making decisions and leading this work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think the clarity of the numbers you bring to us is a really beautiful thing as far as government goes, and we really appreciate the diligence to keep it that way and the work that you guys do. So I think we are now receiving and filing this, correct? We don't need a motion? Okay, so we'll receive and file a great report. We will move on to the next item. And that is item 10B.
Thank you so much.
To authorizing the incorporation of pass-through charges for potable and recycled water into the next cost of service study. And I will hand this back over to the San Diego Water District.
Good evening again. Thank you. Regarding pass-through charges, the first thing I want to start out with, just as an introduction to this item, this agenda item does not increase rates. We are not increasing rates this evening or changing our rate structure. We are just asking the board to authorize staff to incorporate pass-through rates into our next cost of service update. That would be presented to the board at a future meeting. As a little bit of background, like I mentioned earlier, the district board last voted on rates authorizing rate increases for potable and recycled water on April 17th, 2024. Right now, the current rate structure for our customers has one small pass-through charge, and that's the infrastructure access charge from our water wholesaler, the San Diego County Water Authority. That IAC charge is only 5% of the annual amount that we pay the water authority. The district currently has no pass-throughs for recycled water. 19 of the 22 other member agencies of the San Diego County Water Authority already have pass-through charges. The district sources most of our potable water from the San Diego County Water Authority. All of the recycled water that we deliver to customers comes from the San Elijo Joint Powers Authority. At San Elijo, they produce the recycled water, and San Elijo also owns, operates, and maintains the distribution system of pipes that brings that recycled water up to our meters. The way that we pay for that is San Elijo charges the district a dollar amount per acre foot of water, and then we bill our customers. So what are pass-through charges, and why do we want to look at them? The way things work right now is that staff takes the best information we have at the time on future rate increases from the Water Authority and from San Elijo and blends that into rates for our customers. When the Water Authority or San Elijo ends up approving rate increases higher than anticipated, that means that the district has to dip into reserves. So pass-through charges would take whatever those cost increases that come from the wholesalers that we have to pay either way and pass those exact increases on to customers. We would recommend a maximum increase or a cap, so the board would vote on a maximum amount percentage increase that could be passed on to customers with pass-through charges. Any rate increases that would be over a potential approved cap would be covered by district reserves until the next rate study. Pass-through charges provide greater certainty during rate setting and budgeting. My favorite thing about pass-through charges is that it increases government transparency. So on customer bills, there would be a line item that would show exactly how much of a water bill is for district costs for distributing water and making sure that it is safe in our pipes, and exactly how much of that cost is for our wholesale cost from the Water Authority for mostly imported water from hundreds of miles away. So to get into the specifics a little bit, again, I wish I had a crystal ball and could see into the future, but with the best information that staff had at the time, for last fiscal year, we assumed that our overall rate increase from the Water Authority for San Dieguito would be 7.8%. What the Water Authority Board approved and ended up impacting us was 10.5%. And that plays into my earlier item about why one of the reasons that our reserves are lower than desired. For the San Elijo for recycled water, staff assumed with the best information we had a 5% increase per year for recycled water. The San Elijo JPA board within the past 6 months voted on a 10% increase for calendar year 2026. With pass-through rates, when external costs increase, the district will be able to collect sufficient revenue to continue to provide essential potable water and recycled water services. In conclusion, I just want to again emphasize that this agenda item does not increase rates. It does not change our rate structure. It simply authorizes staff to consider pass-through charges with our next cost of service update. And again, the two things that are, I think, the most impactful part of pass-through charges is that they provide more government transparency, and it will align the district more closely with most of the other Water Authority member agencies. To conclude, our recommended action is to adopt Resolution 2026-01, whereby the Board of Directors would authorize staff to incorporate pass-through charges for potable and recycled water into the next cost of service study. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Excellent report. Thank you. Questions of clarity first off? Okay. Do we have any public comment on this? Okay. Board Member Schaefer.
Thank you, President O'Hara. And thank you for the report. We talked about this yesterday. I'm just going on record and saying it again. I've said this before, but as we do these rate studies, I really do hope that it's kind of a sad thing that we make more money when we're on drought years, right? It's in the wrong setup. And ever since the early 90s, when we had that massive scare of the droughts, we changed that and we got in front of it, and now San Diego is kind of one of the leaders in the state of bringing us back online so we don't live in that fear of major droughts. But it's time to change. People are using less and less water, and their bills are still going up. So again, I know it's not your guys' job per se, but I know that it's your guys' profession. So any recommendations through this study and how you I just hope that we think outside the box on how we can, if it's legislation or what it is that we need to do. As Jonathan's here, our legislator, there's things that we can do to start looking to the future. So I know that this is bigger than that scope, but please push the limit as to how we could think about this, because even though it's passed through, we're still part of that government that people see that when they get their bill, it's passing through from the state, it's passing through from the county, but we're lumped in with that group when we do that. So if there's a way for us to start rethinking that, I, for one, would be grateful. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
I think that's a good point. I mean, it is interesting how this is not going to go the right way to say it, but we're almost too good at preserving the water. And it's a fascinating phenomenon. But I'll echo that. It wasn't what I was going to talk about, but it'd be great. I would definitely encourage the board to, and I think you already do this. You do a very good job of it, from what I understand. Really keeping in touch with the other agencies we work with in this to collaborate and make sure that each of you is working together to be efficient in this process. I had a couple of questions, just really quickly. We do this annually, correct? As far as our decision on this versus, I know like San Leon Joint Power Water Association, we do every 4 years.
Thank you for the question. When the board last voted on rates in 2024, you voted to approve three years of rate increases. That's pretty standard in the county.
And then what are the advantages and disadvantages of that time frame for either of them? And you can compare the two if that's easier too.
Thank you for the question. Legally in California, the maximum amount of years whereby a water board can approve rate increases is 5 years. So that's our upper limit. And to approve rate increases every year, I would end up with a lot more staff time and higher consultant costs. We'd be paying a consultant every year to update a rate study. That is also not standard, so it seems like 3 years is sort of the sweet spot where we have a realistic sense of what our CIP expenditures will be. We're projecting out what our water authority increases will be. So we'll be looking at that range with the next update.
So it allows you to adjust to bigger swings without as much potentially difference between each.
Yes.
Yeah, each time.
That's exactly what we're trying to accomplish, is take baby steps before the rate study so that we can implement that and make sure the board is on board with the proposals that we have, so that when we get to do a 3-year study, we don't have a lot of the guesswork that we did 3 years ago. That's the whole point behind this. And pass-through is one of them. We're looking into other options that we will bring to the board, hopefully in May and July, in order before the rate study is done.
Great, and I know all the water boards are incredibly diligent about keeping those prices down and still being effectively able to do their job, in your case, provide potable water to people. The other question I had was, we mentioned the max cap. Can you go over the process again of how we're going to set that and maybe kind of a timetable? I think that's, as people here pass through, I think that is, I think most of us understand the concept and why we're doing it, but it's nice to know there's a max. I think it's a very good, comforting piece of this for people. If you could explain that a little bit better.
That's correct. The percentage, so what the cap would be, is it something that we would develop as a recommendation with our consultant when we do the rate study next fiscal year. And the caps really range, actually, from one water district to another. I think I had in the agenda report some of our neighbors. Neighboring agencies have caps anywhere from 10% to 28% per year. Santa Fe Irrigation District has a maximum cap per year of 30%.
Most of these percent caps were done at different years. So when the water authority used to increase their rates by 5% and 4%, the caps used to be at 6 and 7. So now most of these agencies are revisiting their caps. For example, when Santa Fe Irrigation District did their cap last year, it was at 30%. So it just depends when the cap was approved by the boards of the agencies.
Okay. And when will we be bringing that back here?
It will be part of the cost of service study for your approval. If this item here today passes and you guys are approving the pass-through, we will get to some recommendation as part of the cost of service study.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, I'm going to pass the floor to Vice President Ehlers.
A lot of the questions I think have already been answered. I just wanted to state I do support the added transparency of having the pass-through. I think it's a better process. We're not going to do a Prop 218 study every year in order to do annual. That would be very cost prohibitive to do the entire cost study each time. I also support the idea of, though, having a safeguard of a max cap for that portion that is the wholesale water pricing, and whether that number, I look forward to the data, and whether that's 10% per year, 28% seems a little high, but per year, but I look forward to that. So, and I think in the previous item, we talked about the timing of the study, and that was coming up in 2027. In other words, we went 9% increase for our pricing, 12%, and then 12% will trigger July 1st of this year. And then we're getting ready for what, if anything, but probably we do, for July of 2027. So it's sometime in that spring. So with that, I'll yield.
Okay, Board Member Lyons.
Yes, thank you. A point that I think needs to be made is that in the past, we've had more local water than imported than we do now. Because we've been able to use the local water from Lake Hodges. I think if I remember the report numbers accurately, we're only 20% local water from Hodges now. Is that about the right number?
It's more like 15%,
15%,
yes.
And so the pass-through costs are on the imported water. So I just want to make that point. We've got this pressure on our system as far as affordability right now because we just don't have access to the local water, and that's a whole nother issue, I understand. So even more reason why the transparency is so important. But I do want to say, and I was going to touch on this in my 1, 2, 3, 4 updates at the end of our city council meeting, but I think it's appropriate for me to say it now here. Also, I'm the representative on the Water Authority Board. I do want to say that as far as the long-range financial plan, which is the document that we just recently reviewed at the Water Authority meeting last week, we are looking at, I'll just put it in these terms. One of the things we're looking at as far as our long-range financial plan is excess revenue procedures policy. And it's a matter of public record that we're looking at that in anticipation of having a policy in place when there will be excess revenues. Not that this is something that's been in the public arena yet, but what has been in the public arena so far is that the Water Authority is working on transfer agreements to sell water to willing buyers throughout the region. So there's nothing in detail to report yet, but I think that's a nice piece of information for us to have, to know that the Water Authority is looking at ways of increasing revenue based on the strength of how they've built their system and where the Water Authority is at right now, so that hopefully that will then pass through to us as also our savings. So I just wanted to kind of tee that up. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? All right, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion on the floor by Board Member Schaefer, seconded by, this time we'll see Vice President Ehlers.
That motion carries unanimously.
Okay, and we'll move on to informational items. Looks like 11A, FY 2025-26 CIP update from Principal Engineer Alex.
Good afternoon, President O'Hara and Board of Directors. I'm going to give you a quick capital improvement update for the San Diego Water District. A little background, you've heard this before. We've had the rate approved in April of 2024. The board at that time requested periodic updates on the capital improvement program, as the capital improvement program costs were built into those rates. Just kind of recap the current appropriations and adopted CIP for the district. The total appropriations for the current fiscal year was $4.4 million approximately, and that includes the joint facility projects with the Santa Fe Irrigation District and the RE Badger plant. So when you look specifically at the district projects, our portion of that 4.4 million is approximately 2.6 million. That includes the water infrastructure improvements and some of the projects here I'm going to cover. So some financial updates through December of 2025. The board has awarded and authorized approximately $2.7 million in projects this fiscal year. The AMI was approved last year for the current phase of $1 million. The ARV and blow-off project phase 2 is starting construction, and that amount was $1.1 million. We have a couple design projects where we're working on, which is the fire flow capacity improvements. That design contract was about $440,000. And then the Cardiff water line replacement is also in design, about $140,000 in design. We've expended approximately $140,000 in our on-call consultants, and we're currently working on our urban water management plan update. That will be presented to the board later this year, most likely in April. So it's been a very busy construction for the district this past year. We had completed the air release and blow-off replacement project phase 1B, which replaced 7 appurtenances along our 36-inch transmission steel pipeline. That's one of our big important pipelines as a backbone to our water system and delivers a significant amount of water to our customer. That total project cost was $725,000, and that project was completed in September of last year. Also completed was the Cardiff Water Looping Project. This was on Cardiff Avenue and Santa Fe and Norfolk Drive. This eliminated the weekly system flushing within our system and also improved our system performance and fire flow in that area, in those two areas. The total project cost for that was $950,000, and that project was completed in November of 2025. Lastly, the third project that was completed last year was the Cador Street and Locadia Village Court pressure regulating station. These improved fire flow and system operations in our system. That total project cost was $725,000, and that was completed in September of 2025. Some project we're working on, as you recall, the AMI Phase 1 that was awarded in December. We're working through the contract status right now. We're going to be scheduling a kickoff with the contractor here in February. We estimate that the Phase 1 will be completed in July of 2026. Also awarded last year was the air release and blow-off replacement phase 2. This is on our second backbone, the 30-inch steel transmission line. There are 8 air release and blow-off valves that need to be replaced on this key transmission line. That project cost is about $1.1 million, and we'll be scheduling a pre-con here on this project here very soon, and we estimate completion to be in September of 2026. Kind of recapping our design projects, the pipeline fire flow capacity project. This is going to upsize about 4,200 linear feet of water main along Gascony and parts of Via Tiempo and Avocet. Design on that is $440,000, and we estimate design to be completed in June of 2027. The Cardiff water line replacement project is a replacement of 4,600 feet of aging AC water main in the alleys in Cardiff. This addresses prior history of mains and breaks in those areas. The goal of this project is to improve system reliability and improve fire flows. The design cost on this project is $170,000, and we estimate the design will be completed by the end of the calendar year. And going back to our 2 transmission mains, we're looking at a project to control the corrosion on that. Those 2 pipelines are steel, and they're buried in the ground. So we have a project here to install some corrosion control improvements to the system. You can see in the image here, below there, you have the 36-inch main and 30-inch main. So both of these pipelines will get some new corrosion control appurtenances added. We anticipate design to be completed by July, and then with board authorization, advertised shortly after that. And lastly, the urban water management plan. We're currently working through our study on that. This is our planning document that talks about our water supplies. We anticipate the first presentation to the board in April, with the formal public hearing in either May or June. And lastly, briefly cover our joint facilities projects. Santa Fe Irrigation District and let's share the RE Badger filtration plant. They're conducting an interim joint facilities master plan update. But some of the major projects they have is the San Dieguito Dam repair. If you've taken a tour, they're nearing completion of the Clearwell Solar Project and also performing some minor repairs to the filter service wash water header and associated piping. Their anticipated expenditures for this fiscal year is about $1.4 million. That concludes my presentation. Staff is ready if you have any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions? Do we have any public comment on this or questions? Okay. Do you have any questions? for the board?
No, looks good.
I'll go ahead and it's a great report, and we love to see that we're doing. I know everybody up here is invested in our infrastructure here in the city, and it's very important moving forward that we continue to do that. You're obviously doing an excellent job between this report and the audit. I think you guys should all go out and get a beer afterwards or a coffee or dessert, pat each other on the back and say, keep up the good work. So thank you. Okay, well, moving on to board member reports pursuant to AB 1234. We'll start with board member Lyons.
I'll just reiterate just briefly that I attended the San Diego Water Authority meeting last week, where transfer of water and lowering costs was discussed. What the transfer of water would be what's considered paper water, and the federal government is involved in these decisions and expect more to be reported soon.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report.
So I report myself and Assistant City Manager Mike James, accompanied by General Manager Isam Haresh. We toured the Badger treatment plant and also the dam, and it was a highly informative, great experience. I really think everybody in school should get a chance to go learn about what you're doing up there and the processes that you do and how you get water from so far away to come out of my faucet so clean. So great. I appreciate the tour. Thanks.
Nothing to report.
City Manager? City Attorney? General Manager.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, with that, this meeting of the San Diego Water District is adjourned.
Nice job.
It's funny, she finished and I thought,